I don't know about you, but I am currently in a season where I'm tired of downloading PDFs and I'm tired of making them to grow my email list to ultimately grow my business. So over the summer, I decided to leave that strategy behind and begin leveraging hosting virtual events on my own platform. And so in this video, what I want to do is talk to you guys about my strategy for hosting workshops. And we're just going to start with a very simple format of a who, what, when, where, and how, because I want to make sure that this is actually a good fit for what you're trying to do. And then I will get into the nitty-gritty of the tech that I use in order to implement this strategy in my business. So we're going to start with who. Who can actually benefit from a workshop style virtual event? I was very specific when I decided to implement the strategy that I called them workshops and not webinars. Oftentimes with online educators, we are facing an uphill battle because there are strategies and tactics that have been implemented by other folks that haven't delivered on their promises. And so calling something a webinar typically means that you'll be taught a little bit of helpful information, but ultimately at the end of that virtual event, they're going to try to funnel you into a paid offer. Typically it is a course or it is a coaching program or mastermind, something that's a higher ticket item. And so they get you in for the free event. They bait you with a little bit of information, and ultimately the purpose of the event is to convert you from a webinar attendee into a paid customer. I personally prefer the route of you paying up front for a virtual opportunity and me simply delivering on the promise. Should you choose to apply for YouTube coaching, should you choose to become a member of my membership, that's totally on you. But if you simply come to me to pick my brain about a specific topic, I want to make sure that I equip you as best as I possibly can at that event. So instead of calling them webinars, I called them workshops because the intent was that after you receive that information, you would be able to put these tactics to work in your business. So if you are interested in this strategy, be super specific about who can benefit from this format. Do you have members of your community that would benefit from being able to sit down with you for 60 to 90 minutes to hear some education, to ask you questions live about a specific topic? You're not trying to teach people how to run a business. You're not trying to teach people this huge concept and just truncate it in a short amount of time. What you're trying to do is say, do you want to learn this? I can teach you this in an hour. And so that's kind of my philosophy on workshop style events. Some people call them master classes. Again, other people call them webinars. I personally like the idea of we're coming to this virtual space to do the work. And I am simply equipping you with information that's going to make it easier for you to leave this event and do the work later. Another thing that's super important about this format is that you offer a replay because people are paying for the information and it's essential that they still have access to it, even if they have to pop off the call or they can't attend the call live. So factor in replays when you price this because that is a very important thing that people will be looking for when they look at your event. All right, so that's the first thing I want you to start with is who can actually benefit from this format. Then you have to think about what is the format going to be. I will be completely honest with you. I have tried and tried and tried to make Canva something that is more accessible in a virtual event. And what I find is the best way to teach Canva is to create super specific video tutorials. If I'm coming to teach a community about that platform, what I'm doing is updating them about updates and simply doing a live Q&A. That's the best way to teach that topic. And so when you're thinking about what the format is going to be, You have to think about what is the format that's going to deliver the highest value of education on this topic. So say, for instance, again, with Canva, the best way to do that is tutorials or a live Q&A and just like a feature update. For something that's more conceptual, like, how to set up a shop and pay him. Now, that's something that I can do in a workshop. I can give people an overview of that, show them how I'm using it, show them feature by feature and screen share. Certain things can actually be taught in 60 minutes. Other things are either too big or other things are just better in a different format. So just be honest with yourself. Like, if I truly want to do a 5-star event that generates super positive testimonials, what is the best format for this information? I have found that 35 minutes of education with 25 minutes of Q&A typically satisfies people paying for a workshop. There are times, like this past week, we did a workshop about preparing for your first YouTube video, which was a lot to pack in. So I had a 30-minute additional time frame added to this workshop to make sure the information was covered and we had time for questions. We talked about equipment for YouTube, and we talked about different setups, using your cell phone, using a webcam, and then taking you behind the scenes of what my setup looks like in my office. That was too much for 35 minutes and 25 minutes of Q&A. And so it was important for me to be honest about that. And so when people registered, I also put the length of the workshop. It was a 90-minute workshop. So like, buckle up, baby. It's going to be a little bit longer than usual. But I did that to make sure that the information was covered. Now, you got to be honest with yourself. How often do you want to host these events? As a creator, as a content creator, I am constantly looking for ways to make my brain believe what I'm doing is an actual job, because I love it, because it does come to me fairly easily, and because there is no boss managing my time and putting expectations on what I create. So having these monthly live streams or having these monthly workshops is super important, and having these Monday live streams is super important for me to kind of tether myself down and say, what you're doing is for real. This is your job. There are clients and customers you're serving. Let's take this seriously. You may not need to do a workshop every single month like I do, but it's helpful for me. And I'll get into another reason why I do them every month later. But think about your frequency. And the reason why I say that is because the best way to sell tickets for your next workshop is to tell your current audience what's coming up. So you need to plan ahead. You don't need to focus on just the moment that you're teaching right now. You need to think, okay, I'm doing this quarterly. Let me let them know what our Q4 workshop is going to be. And if they want to go ahead and grab a ticket, I want them in this excitement from this current workshop to go ahead and go do it. If you don't plan ahead, you will find yourself on this constant hamster wheel trying to get students in your class. And so understand your frequency from the very beginning. Where do you want to stream your events live? I talked about at the beginning of this live stream, I am probably going to be moving us from one platform to another, simply because I think the price for what I'm getting isn't worth it. And I love what I'm able to do in this studio, managing the graphics and sharing my screen. I'm used to this because I use it every week. The other software, I'm only jumping into once a month. And so I don't feel like I'm mastering it as quickly as I want to. So you want to think about where you're going to host the events. Are you going to host them in a Facebook group? Are you going to host them, on some type of webinar software, like a Webinar Jam or Zoom webinars or whatever? In my case, I'm going to be transitioning to StreamYard webinars. And so think about where is this going to be hosted? Because where it's hosted is going to impact how you market it and how you deliver the information. And so some software programs will have integrations with your email marketing software, others will not. And so you really want to think about where you're hosting it before you start marketing it and getting people in the room. And finally, you want to think about, how does this fit into my overall marketing strategy? Now, like I said, there is a utility element to me doing these monthly workshops. And so I like the accountability of, if I'm saying I'm a tech educator, I truly need to be teaching at least once a month. Even if no one's booked me for a conference, I need to be showing up, because that helps me to get better and better and better with teaching information to people who are currently overwhelmed by tech. That's part of the reason. The other reason is I have a monthly membership, and my monthly membership allows people to sign up for either $10 or $25 to guarantee a seat in my workshops. So I'm just going to take that aspect because my email list knows that I was going to share the good, bad, and the ugly about the strategy. What I had happen this last workshop was not only did my workshop sell out, but multiple people asked me if I could add them to the workshop, that they really wanted to attend live. And unfortunately, it sold out before they were able to get their ticket. I was faced with a situation where I had to decide, am I going to cave on that cap and please them in the moment, or am I going to stand firm on that because of my mission behind these workshops? I chose not to let them in, but I also booked it to get that replay up within 24 hours. So they still had access to that information while it was still top of mind. And here is the reason why I chose to do that. And I think it's a super important thing to express and be transparent about. A dear friend of mine used to own a florist, a flower shop. There you go. She was a florist. She owned a flower shop. And I asked her, I said, well, why don't you do marketing for Valentine's Day? I feel like that's the time of year where most people are in the mindset to buy, bouquets of flowers for the people that they love, their significant others. And she said to me, if I market, because right now I'm already at capacity with no marketing, because again, it is top of mind. If I market, I'm going to exceed the capacity of my team. The quality is going to drop, and those negative comments aren't worth the additional income. So I actively choose to restrict my growth during Valentine's Day to make sure that every person who hires me to share love and compassion toward their significant other gets exactly what they're paying for. That they get, the promise on the quality of the flowers, they get the promise on the timing of the delivery, that my quality doesn't suffer because of a little bit more additional income. This particular workshop was a 90-minute workshop that was already stuffed to the brim, and I knew people were going to have a lot of questions. And one of the reasons why I kept my workshops at 50 students is if everyone did show up, to be honest with you, even if half of those people showed up live, I could take up 90 minutes just answering questions. And so I have been in so many workshops where the reason why I carved out time to attend live was so I could get my questions answered, and my questions got ignored. That there were so many comments, that there were so many people that I wasn't attended to. I paid the money so that I could ask those valuable questions, and I didn't get what they promised on because they oversold their event. They went beyond their capacity. And so because they chose to make that decision, I didn't get out of it what I needed. And I found myself still lacking when I left the session because there were just too many people in the room. And so although it would have been nice to have an extra $50 to $60 to let those folks in, I didn't want to sacrifice the quality of the event for an extra $50 to $60. It also justified why folks have got to hop on it when my workshops come up, because they are quality events that people actually want to be in. They are worth way more than $10, but they're certainly worth the $10. And so it was hard for me as a people pleaser, as someone who doesn't want to upset people. I really questioned whether or not I should just let them in. But I knew if people came in the room wanting questions to be answered and I just said, sorry, don't have enough time, that would do more harm to my brand than the extra money would help. And so that's kind of the ugly side, I guess, of success, that it's so tempting to just take the money when it's in front of you, but you can't take the money and sacrifice the money you already have or sacrifice your reputation because that's all that you have. Now, what it did point out was a flaw in my system. The one mistake that I made was I sent an email when I only had 2 tickets left, and I happened to include my husband in that, and you guys have never heard my husband teach. And so what I probably should have done was accepted the fact that I had sold 48 tickets and just let it go, then send an email and draw extra attention to the event and disappoint all those people who didn't get in enough time. So that was my bad. When you get close to your goal, sometimes accepting close is the best option. But it also pointed out that I'm growing and I need to figure out a way to scale. And so that's another reason why I'm switching webinar softwares, is because I'm not as efficient as I want to be with the other software. And so 50 students is as much as I can handle. However, because I use this software every week, I can handle a class size of 75 to 100, no problem, without having to hire someone to manage the comments or things like that. And so it forced me to have to learn, a little bit new software so that I could increase my capacity as my brand continues to grow. And so everybody handles growth differently. Some people just say grow, 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 sell, 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 sell. They'll do workshops with no cap. I'm not going to say they don't care, but their priorities are different than mine. And I am so much more interested in slower growth, more integrity, high quality than a quick sale. And it's essential that if someone is attending a workshop for the first time, that they get that. And if they've been with me for a while, that they still feel that way about my brand. And so that's why I chose to do it. But I made sure moving forward that I didn't have to push people away at the last minute because I didn't put in the effort to learn a new software. So that's the reality of that situation. I've already had a couple people purchase the replay. I find that it's easier to sell an event than sell a replay. But it was my way to kind of work around that in the season. The other benefit of doing it that way was I realized that this workshop was so extensive because my husband made 4 videos that we played during the workshop. So when we talked about cell phone setup, he made a whole video taking you behind the scenes. Brianna filmed him. They edited I've never seen someone teach a workshop like that. And it was so helpful for people to be able to go back and physically look at him plugging in the microphone and using the adapters and using the car mounts and all these different things. I'm so proud of him for going the extra mile with that because I know it really benefited the students. Well, so many people have been asking us how we use YouTube to transition from being service providers to being full-time creators. And so ultimately, because our video production company actually produced educational DVDs for 10 plus years, we're definitely equipped to make our own course. We just haven't found a course platform that we love, and we haven't had time to actually create our own content. So I think that this workshop will actually be a great funnel into a future YouTube course or potentially into YouTube coaching. And so putting in that extra effort into this workshop is also going to help speed up the amount of time that it takes me to add on a mid-tier and potentially high-tier offer in my business. So sometimes you use these live events as that accountability, as that motivation to do the hard work, knowing that that hard work can be leveraged later on. So I hope that makes sense. So really quick, what I want to do is hop into the comments, see what your thoughts are about kind of the mindset. And then what I want to do is I want to actually screen share and show you, because I've already put up the August workshop, literally what I do when I'm ready to add a new workshop to the shop and start marketing it. So as you can see, this is one single Canva design that has multiple images in it. I do it this way so I don't have to worry about the awkward sizing in my shop. And all I need to do is just add another page and it's already correctly sized. I have gone through multiple different formats for my workshop graphics. I love doing it this way, making my shop products vertical because I can repurpose this vertical image as an Instagram story without having to make another graphic. So I put the date, I put the title, I essentially put the promise of the workshop, and I leave plenty of room for a countdown clock and a link sticker. And so as soon as the previous workshop is over, then I create a graphic for the next one. I choose a date. I typically like to teach Thursdays at 1:00. And it just, I don't know, it just seems to work. 1:00 seems to work for a lot of different time zones. And I take Fridays off. So like Thursday is like my last push and then I can take a day off. So it works for me, it works for my students. And so that's how I tend to schedule things. So again, I do it monthly. I choose a Thursday at 1:00 and then I make the graphic. You want to have casual photos of yourself to use for your marketing graphics. Everything is not going to call for a super glammed up headshot. And so I did this photo shoot with Megan Vaughn at her greenhouse, and I have gotten so much leverage out of these images. It fits my branding, and I actually covered up the shop local on the bag so that I could add whatever context that I wanted. But I've done, so many times when I've used it to advocate for supporting a small business. And so I start with the graphic, put the date, put the title, put the promise, and then I export that graphic. Now, after I create the graphic, and this is just because I leverage PayHip, after the graphic, then I create the PDF that will essentially go on the back end of PayHip, what will be delivered when people put this item in their cart. I have gone through multiple different formats for my PDF. What I have settled on is simple. In my email this morning, I talked about simple is better. Okay? Do not overcomplicate this thing. So I have a giant green button that says click to join the workshop. No matter what platform I'm using, there is typically a link to join, whether it's a Zoom call, whether it's StreamYard webinars, there's always a link. So I link that giant green button at the top to wherever I'm sending people. This is also the same link that goes in the email reminders that tells people, where to go. So from the moment that they purchase their ticket, they are getting the link that they need to join the workshop. But as you can see, I have room on this PDF because all I actually needed to do was to share that link. So at the bottom, I tend to put a relevant affiliate link for what I'm teaching. In this case, I am migrating over to StreamYard webinars for a test. So it makes sense that I would promote StreamYard at the bottom of the PDF. The button that says click to sign up leads to the StreamYard 14-day free trial. And I have seen, because I can tell where my traffic's coming from, that there are folks who have clicked on the affiliate link in the PDF and have signed up for services relevant to the workshop because I put it there. I'm always looking for creative ways to share my links. And so this is just open real estate that made it really easy to promote the link. So that is the PDF that people receive when they purchase the item in my shop. So when you go to shoplashondabrown.com, this is what it looks like. You can see the graphic I created in Canva. On the back end, I uploaded that PDF. You have the title, and this is super important, guys. I make sure I put the date, the time, my time zone, because I have a global audience, the fact that there will be a replay provided every single time. That is the format of the product item, because those are questions I get all the time. When is it? What time zone? Will there be a replay? So I just make it the title of the product in the shop. Then I put a little bit more detail about what the promise of the workshop is. So in this case, if you're using YouTube as a means to generate passive income, you have to get more eyes on your content for it to convert and produce these results. In this workshop, I am going to teach you the simple marketing strategies that I have implemented that have increased my views and income on YouTube. This topic was voted on in the July workshop. I had 3 ideas for a workshop. And so I asked them, what do you guys want to learn? And what won was, can you help me market my YouTube content? Because if you're spending all this time and effort to push out content on YouTube, you want people to watch it, because when they watch it, it leads to sales, and the increased views helps generate passive income if you have a monetized YouTube channel. This is a common problem that people are on the platform and they're not getting the views. So it's a great thing for me to tackle in a 60-minute workshop. So again, 60-minute workshop with replay provided August 31st, 2023 at 1 p.m. Eastern. So again, just reiterate, this is what you're getting for the $10. So that is what it looks like in the shop. Now, if you go to the main shop page, I reorder my shop products based on what I'm trying to push the most in this moment. So right now, I'm trying to push that replay because I know there are people who were interested in it that weren't able to get in. On a mobile device, the first two products are what's going to show up first. So my freebie and that replay are the primary focus because this workshop is in August. Like I got plenty of time to promote this. However, when people come in to buy this replay, I want people to know like, okay, next month's topic is this. I'm interested. Let me go ahead and do that. I also have a collaborative workshop coming up in September. It's already in the shop. And here's the reason why. On the back end of PayHip, I have set it up to cross-sell the workshop with Sean and I. I am paying Sean, who is a partnership expert, to come in and teach my coaching clients how to navigate brand deals, okay? This is something I was already doing as a value added to my coaching clients, but I decided to make it open to people outside of the coaching program so that they still had access to this information. However, I wanted to compensate Sean and I wanted to communicate like this is super, super valuable. So it's a $25 workshop because you have two educators and because I wanted to make sure that Sean was compensated. So when you go in and you purchase the replay, you download the free guide, you buy a ticket to my August workshop, PayHip will cross-sell a 25% off of Sean's workshop. That is a way to passively sell my September workshop. So this is why I recommend PayHip. PayHip is free. The ability to cross-sell is already built into it. And so it's a fantastic way for me to simplify the process of marketing my paid offers. So the last thing that I'm going to say, and this is a huge, huge component to my business now, is within the back end of Buy Me a Coffee, I now have memberships where people can pay $10 a month to get a ticket to my workshops every single month. So even if it sells out, they're going to get in, or they can pay $25 a month for a more extensive behind the scenes look at how I do things, similar to what I discussed on this live stream. This was super in depth. I didn't just tell you guys do workshops. I showed you what I was using, why I was using it, how I was using it. Okay. That's the kind of stuff that the Bootstrap insiders will get access to. What I did over the weekend is I added the replays for the May, the June, the July workshops into Buy Me a Coffee. If you are a member, you will have instant access to previous events as well, because I noticed there was an issue. When people would come in as a STAR student, they would get their ticket for the event that month, but it was super important to me that if someone came in as a STAR student, that they were able to get access to workshops that happened before they were a member as well. And so that's an added benefit of people becoming a STAR student. I say all that detail simply to say this. We spend so much time selling, marketing, doing all that for our businesses that sometimes the quality suffers of our deliverables, or we physically suffer because we're burnt out, we're doing too much. In my business, a simpler strategy done over and over and over again is more profitable and pays more dividends than me doing super complex launches. You are not going to see me disappear for 4 months and come back with a huge launch strategy for a product. You will see this miles and miles away. Because I have the community streams, because I do the monthly workshops, because I'm focused on building community and walking alongside people and trying to help them to work less and live more by doing less manually so they can live a more fulfilling life. And technology is how we bridge that gap. And so I have just found this strategy is so much more conducive to how I like to do things than webinars where I have to pitch or massive courses that I have to work on the side while I'm doing my active business, trying to fit it in with UGC work and all these other things. This works for me. So if you seem interested in how I do things, I would recommend that you become a member and that you specifically become a member as an insider, because I'm going to show you the behind the scenes of why I do what I do. And I'm going to show you the numbers. I'm going to show you practically, like, what tech am I using? What problems am I seeing? What do I have coming up? Not everybody is interested in creating a business like mine. I find that I'm making more money in 20 hours than I was making in 60. But some people really enjoy the hustle and grind. They really enjoy the excitement of how can I shove as much stuff in a day as possible? And that was me for a season. So I can resonate with that. But given my current goals as a woman in her early 30s, I don't want that. I want this. And so I'm very intentional about the steps that I'm taking to build up my passive income engines, to be able to look at projections and say, I know I have this many thousands of dollars coming in. I'm good. If I need to take a break, I can. Next month, I'll be taking a sabbatical because I have systems in place like this. Yes, I still have to teach in August, but I'm teaching on the 31st. The whole month is going to go past before I have to teach my workshop. And so that's kind of the perk of operating a business like this and leveraging tech to execute on what you need to do is if you have a family illness, if you have a vacation come up, if you simply just need to rest and recharge to focus on your significant other or focus on some business goals that you have, you can actually do that when you have these types of systems in place. Without this, you will constantly be going and going and going and going. And, you know, for some of us, we love the chase, but for others, we're tired. And so if you are a person who has found themselves in a situation where you need money to live, but the pace that you've been running is not a healthy pace, I would encourage you to look into doing workshops versus the longer route, which is the lead magnet into this, into this, into this. It's a shorter path. Here's something I can teach you in 60 minutes. Do you want to learn from me? Buy a ticket in my shop. It's simple. It's easy to refer. It's easy to execute. It's easy to market. And now I have an email list full of buyers versus full of freebie consumers that I have to convince the value of buying what I have to sell. So you can fight me on it, but I think workshops is a really good route to take. If you go to LaShondaBrown.com/tools, you can support the channel by signing up for some of the tools that I recommended, like StreamYard, like PayHip, things like that. So those things are there. And again, you can go to LaShondaBrown.com/student to become a STAR student so that you get access to my previous workshops. You get a ticket to the August workshop, and ultimately you get to support my channel and help me to continue pushing out quality content like this because I know that my bills are covered. So I hope this was valuable for you. If you haven't already, make sure that you like this video, that you subscribe and turn the notification bell on, because I am extremely passionate about helping entrepreneurs to grow their biz without breaking the bank. Until next time, that's all for now.